Yeah, he was. That was kind of rough. I was uncomfortable watching that.
Yeah, because she's like, and that was kind of a different Michael Douglas scene because he was the one being victimized in it.
Yeah.
Actually, that's an interesting thing. I mean, if you look at Fatal Attraction too, Michael Douglas is being victimized in that sex scene too with Glenn Close. Not only because he's having to have sex with Glenn Close, but because she's, got a fatal attraction to him. There's also, then Demi Moore basically forces him to have sex with her. Michael Douglas getting forced to have sex with two women. It's not too often that the star in Hollywood gets that kind of treatment.
Well, I'm looking at the filmography, and I guess he's had this reputation, but I'm like looking at the movies, and I'm not really picturing any of them. Obviously, Basic Instinct and Fatal Attraction, but like Wall Street, Black Rain, War of the Roses, Disclosure we talked about, The American President.
Disclosure was the graphic one.
Yeah, that was the rough one.
Yeah.
Well, Basic Instinct, you had just the shot up Sharon Stone's skirt.
Okay, what would be more... I mean, having a sex scene with Glenn Close, that's got to be rough. I wouldn't want that. Even in her prime, that would be terrible. She looks like... I mean, I'm not saying she is a man, but she doesn't look like a woman either. Even in her prime.
Yeah, she looks like one of those women that could really F you up physically, psychologically, and emotionally. I mean,
in the TV show The Shield, she's the captain of the Farmington Police District, and I don't understand why. She was really good as that because she's kind of manly, so to speak. But in Fatal Attraction, Michael Douglas throws her up on the counter, and then she starts turning on the faucet, and sprinkling some water on her. So I think we all remember that scene. It's just Michael Douglas. I don't understand the sex scenes he chooses. I mean, it's just he got a good one with Demi Moore. And I don't remember if he got a good one with Gwyneth Paltrow, but that would have been nice as well.
Wouldn't it be funny if, like, in real life, all these years he's been impotent?
Well, did you hear about when he got, not funny to joke about, but when he got throat cancer, he claimed it was because he ate out, so much.
Now that I had forgotten.
That was his claim.
Until you just brought it up. And you know what? That's enough to make me stop.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so what about the NFL?
Okay, yeah, back to the NFL. Okay, so the Giants, my Giants this week, I go into the year, with these expectations that are... low. I always go into with low expectations because that way I'll never be disappointed. And so this year I expected, 7-9 at best. Should I be enthused by what I saw? I've seen the last 2 weeks against Houston and this week against the Redskins, or should I not be that enthused and just expect 7-9 from, even though they've looked pretty good the last 2 weeks?
Hey, I picked them on our preview show, our NFL season preview show. I picked them 9-7. I had them losing week 1 at Detroit. I had them beating the Cardinals, which they didn't do. I had them beating the Texans. I had them losing this game at Washington. But then I also have them losing next week at home to Atlanta, and then losing at Philadelphia, and losing at Dallas before the bye. So I don't know, really. But the arrow is that team this season is directionally correct, because as lost as Eli Manning looked the first 2 weeks, something has changed. Whether that's he's finally feels comfortable in his new offensive coordinator Ben McAdoo's system or not, I don't know. And one would have to assume that as the season would go on, he would be more comfortable. But if it's clicked now, it bodes very well for the Giants. And they're a team. Well, the team is an enigma, really, because it's not that Coughlin can't coach. You know what I mean? We know Coughlin can coach, but it's just like Eli just went on a tear where he just would not stop throwing to the other team, and you just can't win.
He goes through that it's like every 2 or 3 years or something like that, where he just goes through a phase where he just, he hates throwing to his team. And, I mean, you look at his best year, really, if you look at it, was probably the year after they won their first Super Bowl. Right before Plaxico shot himself in the leg. That was probably his best year. And then you look at, Eli now, his passing percentage may go up, but, the short passes, that's not his thing. I mean, in short dropbacks, he's usually a long dropback guy, and then, just heave it. But I don't think he really has I think the new offense is more catered to the offensive line he has, which is not meant to hold protection for as long as he wants to drop back. So it's like, it's just a weird combination of things that they have going on right now.
No, which is smart, because the worst thing that a coaching staff can do is this is my scheme, this is my strategy, and we're going to do it come hell or high water. See the Chicago Bears under Mike Martz, where he kept dropping Cutler back in these long drops, and there was basically turnstiles in front of him for an offensive line, and he just got the crap kicked out of him for like 2 full seasons before changes were made. So, you look at that game against the Redskins, they go into Washington. Kirk Cousins was completely baffled, for lack of a better term, and Doug Farrar from SI wrote a great article that I retweeted the other day about just how Cousins was asked to do things that he shouldn't have been asked to do. He doesn't have the arm strength to throw those balls he was throwing. And he just got himself into trouble. 4 turnovers, you're not going to win. If the first quarter, the Giants held the time of possession edge in 9 minutes to 9 and change to 5:44, and then they never let go. And in the fourth quarter, when Washington has to pass to even have a chance, they held the ball for 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. So they put their foot on the throat of the Redskins, and they just pushed down. So now, if they can do that week after week, that's great. But not every team is the Redskins.
Well, yeah, the Redskins. I always get nervous about getting too confident in a Giants team that doesn't play the Patriots in the regular season, because that's usually when they win the Super Bowl.
when they only face them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, when they get that's the reason why nobody talks about that, is when they first won the Super Bowl against the Patriots, when the Patriots were 18-0, is the Patriots had that scare against the Giants in the regular season finale, and the Giants got their confidence then, and without that, I don't think they win that game. And the same thing in the second Super Bowl. They beat the Patriots in the regular season. And that Patriots team, not necessarily considered a juggernaut, but it was considered a really good Patriots team that should have won the Super Bowl. Then the Giants beat them. It's kind of fun being a Giants fan, because you look back at their history and when they win the Super Bowl, they're never the best team in the league when they win the Super Bowl. Like, when they won the Super Bowl with, like, Sims, you look at, like, the Niners were probably probably the best team in the league. And then when they won their second Super Bowl, the Cowboys were a juggernaut. The Bills were probably better. Whenever the Giants win the Super Bowl, it's not like they're the best team in the league. They just get hot at the right time.
Right.
And, but when you look at other franchises that have 4 more Super Bowls, the Cowboys, they were the best team in the league whenever they won. Steelers, same thing. Patriots, same thing. The first one. You just look at teams that are really good. They're usually that have multiple championships. They're usually the best team. The Giants, that's just not the case. And it's weird because they're from New York, and you would expect them to be that type of team.
If you're looking for an upside, a sign of growth, a sign of hope for the Giants, you look at the first half in that game. Eli Manning, 20 of 24. The Giants held the time of possession edge in the first half by 5 minutes, and they threw the ball 24 times and only ran 13. They were 7 of 9 on third downs, and they had 13 passing first downs. That's a sign that your offense is clicking, and everyone's fresh at that point. So the offensive line did a good job of protection, and maybe Eli has turned the corner. But don't ask if he's elite. Just don't.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to get too confident because I'm a Giants. I'm a Knicks fan. Getting too confident just sounds terrible. But if Eli, I don't want to play too well in the regular season because if he plays too well in the regular season, we either don't make the playoffs or we get knocked out the first game. When he plays, mediocre to average, we have a good run. As a Bears fan from New York, one of the millions of Bears fans from New York, mind you,
based on the 7 that right?
Yes. Based on the 3 people I know from New York. What is your take on the Bears game against the Packers today? Do you just chalk it up to who cares, or does it really bother you that they lost to the Packers today?
It's the Packers. My gosh. Do you understand that our biggest rival is a team whose legion of fans wears hats made of cheese on their heads and refuse to admit that they look like a bunch of a-holes? You lose to a team like that. Yeah, well, you lose to a team like that, and it's a major kick in the nards. It just is. So I watched, that Bears game. To say that I was flustered is an understatement. It's amazing how, in the game of football, if you can't stop the other team from scoring, how hard it is to win.
Yeah.
And Jay Cutler is going to throw at least 1 interception a game, sometimes 2. And he did that today. But you know who he is. And you look at, before we went on the air, I was looking at the box score, and I'm looking at the stats. And if you want to scratch your head and wonder how an NFL team can screw itself by not playing any defense, look at that box score, because the Bears owned every single statistic category except the points, the one that really matters. And it's just like, Mel Tucker, I gave you a flyer on last year because it was still Lovey's personnel. Now you had a whole year to remake this, and it's what I call, Lovey Smith played the Tampa 2 system. Mel Tucker's has to be the Matador system because everyone just runs right by us.
Who's better, Jay Cutler or Cade McNown?
Oh, come on, dude! You're a hater. You're such
no, I actually love Jay Cutler. One of my favorite players of all time. He brings hope to the diabetic community that I'm not really a part of, but I support.
The diabetic community.
But the thing with, before we go, the one time I've been to Green Bay, I went with my buddy Jared. We went to Green Bay for Brett Favre's return. And as far, they have really thin walls in their hotel rooms at in Green Bay.